Yeah, just about as groovy as a 10-cent movie. I'm your man, Calvin Gibbs. Welcome to this segment of Drama Talk Radio Podcast. As you know, Drama Talk is the show where the word drama, DRAMA, stands for developing real and moving art. This is the show where we speak to those that are working in the cultural arts, be it fine arts or literary arts, painting. I want to have them on the show. And today I have a very special guest on the line with me. This is a person that I met close to 8 years ago when I first joined Toastmasters, and she came to my Toastmasters club in Naperville as a guest speaker for an open house event that we were having. As it turned out, I actually missed that meeting because I got ill the night before. I had some bad food and I actually missed that meeting. But I've always wanted to have the chance to talk to her, and this is the opportunity. My guest today is Amy Lee Segami. Amy, welcome to Drama Talk.
What a pleasure. What an honor. Finally, Kevin.
Finally, after all these years, 8 years of seeing you across the room at different conferences and TLIs, I always had it in my mind that I would one day have the opportunity. So thank you so much for being here with us today on Drama Talk. I'm going to tell my audience a little bit about Amy Lee Segami. She is the president and managing principal of Segami Studios and Consulting. She's a former fluid mechanical engineer, an executive VP turned artist and entrepreneur. And she uses, get this, water as her canvas. With her unique applications of fluid dynamics, she embraces turbulence. She embraces turbulence to create a unique brand called Painting on Water. I can't wait to find out more about Painting on Water. So Amy's works, they're all over the place. They're in museums, they're in permanent collections, and she has been nominated for so many awards. We're going to talk about some of them in the show as well. But Amy, how did you get started with your unique brand, Painting on Water? And I got to start with this question. Why? Why painting on water?
Oh my God, Calvin, you did such a great, intensive research background. Of all the years that I have been interviewed, literally all worldwide, right? You are the first who asked me this question.
Wow.
You are the first ask the question, why?
Yeah, why?
Most people want to know what, how. Most people just want to know what. But the why is the most important piece. So I know we have limited time, and let me be concise about this. Why do I paint on water? There are many reasons why. First, the foremost is that I could not draw, but I can paint on water. I don't think I was creative. As an engineer, you're supposed to follow the guideline. Everything is very logical and rigid and structural. And water gives me that total freedom of fluidity that it just flows. And there are a lot of surprises and there are a lot of uncertainty. And most important, there's a lot of turbulence. Now, the second why is because I was forced into just doing engineering. And you have got my backstory about my father forced me into it. After I did all of that, being an obedient daughter, after I fulfilled my father's wish, I realized I was free to do what I want to do. And I went back to my childhood hobby, passion, love of doodling and acting and doing something more artistic. Yet, I was so conflicted. Do I do this or do I do that? Do I have to be engineer or artist? And I remember asking for myself, I wish there's one thing that I can combine them together so that I don't have one or the other. And it came up on me totally by accident that I came up this art form of suminagashi that I can actually apply all the science, all the physics that I have learned and research and study for years to apply on this ancient art, and that the two come together. Without one, I couldn't have done the other. So that is the short answer to the why.
Okay. And suminagashi is an art form. It's an ancient art form that originated in China over 2,000 years ago. But you have taken that and incorporated what you know about physics to create your, if you will, version of painting on the water. So tell us about the actual process of painting on water.
So the actual process is the name, suminagashi. And some of your listeners probably very savvy and say, wait a minute, that's not Chinese, that sounds Japanese. And they are right, it is Japanese. And like many of the traditional art and literature in Japan actually came from China many years ago. And it was the crazy emperors, crazy king. For the Chinese was the emperor, the chairman would say, no, we throw everything out and life will start out with me. And as a result, we lost a lot of art forms, and thankful to the Japanese priests that they embrace and preserve these traditional art forms. So the explanation of the art is in the name. Sumi, S-U-M-I, is a Japanese word for the sumi ink that Asians use for writing calligraphy, the black ink. And nagashi in Japanese means flowing. So literally it's flowing of the black ink.
Okay. So now the black ink on the white paper. So that's not correct?
It's the black ink on the white water.
On the white water. And then you lay the paper on top of it and capture the image. Is that?
So I think your listener will probably enjoy imagining the process.
Yes.
So the Shinto priests have been taking this as a way of almost like an active meditation form. And they would sit, the job of the Shinto priest is to pray for the emperor, for the people, and for the universe. So they would meditate, sit in front of the water, whether it's a bowl, whether it's the lake or a pond or the ocean. And after meditate for a while, I would imagine they get pretty bored.
Right.
So they would take this Asian brush, the kind we use for calligraphy, those brush with the tip. They would dip it into a bowl of black sumi ink. And then one drop at a time, the tip of the brush would touch the surface of the water. Just like pepper drop into the water, it would create this ripple effect. So imagine that ripple effect with the ink so that we can actually see those ripple effects. And then with a piece of rice paper, lay on top of it to capture that pattern. Now, I have done a lot of research, believe me. High and low, I look everywhere, and I couldn't find any kind of documentation. So I imagined that probably the priest was just doing the meditative effect, and the wind, whoop, blew up the rice paper and landed on the top. And when the priest picked it up, ooh, that was the pattern. I think that's how it started.
Okay. Wow. That is really interesting. And then they would present it to the emperor or to the shogun or the king, and they would either like it. Oh, sometimes they used it in religious ceremonies, right?
Yep. they would present it because back then this is very sacred art, and the high priest would only have a ceremonial presentation. And after the king, well, in our case is the emperor and the noble, the shogun, would nod their head, present, after they view this art, quite often the priest would prescribe a prayer, the calligraphy written, a poem on top of this piece of paper. And the reason that most of us, and I certainly have not had the good fortune to see yet, is because they would fold this up layer upon layer, and then they would burn in a ceremony.
Mm.
And something that is.
Wow. I would imagine just like in other types of art, like dance or performance, you have to do it over and over again till you get it just right. Is that correct?
Well, that is part of the process. But the reason that they present this and burn it, because back then, before internet, before Wi-Fi, they probably think that it's by burning and let the smoke carry this message up into the heaven is the only way that it could ripple out the prayer to the universe.
Wow. Interesting. That is very interesting. Now, from painting on water, you developed painting on air or painting in air? Or which came first, the water or the air?
Well, I study fluid mechanics, and fluid is really the study of the most important elements in life, air and water.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, both fluid. So after I study and work with painting on water, I realized that people kept asking me to talk about my work. And at first I go like, just look at it. If I could talk about it, I would have been a writer.
Right.
On the other hand, I always take a challenge, never let it go waste. I start developing the public speaking skill and realize that it's on air.
Interesting.
Telling stories, describing, and take the listener's imagination on the journey.
Interesting. So writing on air is actually putting storytelling, the words and the process of storytelling out into the atmosphere where others can pick up on it and then it can go on to where it needs to go. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Painting on air with words.
Okay. Now, I've done a little bit of research on fluid mechanics, and I know it's a branch of physics, and they talk about fluids and liquids and gases. They talk about plasma as well. Are you going to do anything with plasma, perhaps?
Never say never. Actually, one of my ongoing project research is really want to do painting in air.
Painting in air.
Air that is using air as a medium. So I don't know what shape and form is going to be yet. Maybe technology hasn't quite available yet. But I've been exploring augmented reality and virtual reality. That would be something that could be done in the air, such a way that the audience, the viewer, would experience it.
Interesting. That's very good. I'm doing some research myself personally. Well, my company is called Born to Speak to You, and I'm starting to investigate or research the ear and all of the different components that help us hear. I'm born to speak to people, so I want to know what happens after they hear it and how I can promote that. So that's very interesting that that you would use the air as a vehicle,
as a medium, right?
As a medium. Very good. Yeah. Very good.
What your radio show? You are painting in there.
True that. Now, I know that you also have been a TED speaker a few times, and kudos on that. I know that's a very prestigious honor to be able to do that. But you also have created or developed TEDx IIT, which is what is that? TEDx IIT.
So most of your listeners watch TED Talks these days, or even TED Radio. And when I first was invited for the inaugural TEDx event, let me tell you the story.
Sure.
So 2006 was when TED first was available, releasing the video on the internet. And being an early adapter, I was all over it right away. And I was literally glued to my computer. And my friends would keep hearing me talk about TED this and TED that. They thought I was going out with a guy, Ted.
Wow.
Shortly, it was 3 years later, I got an invitation that someone was inviting me to do a TED talk. And I said, I'm sure they're just pulling my leg. And I got a second email, TEDx talk. They say, oh, they're just trying to hook me in. So I ignored. 3 times I ignored the invitation. And to finally someone, the organizer reach out to someone who was in one of my workshops, Painting on Water, and reach out and say, Amy, aren't you interested? Wouldn't you like to do this? So I was invited for the inaugural TEDx Peachtree down in Atlanta. When I flew down there and experienced it, it was just an incredible situation that I realized that this could be a great platform as a project-based experiential learning to mentor a lot of the young students, as well as featuring those who has ideas worth spreading within our community. So I went back to my alma mater, which is IIT, now known as the Illinois TED. So TEDx IIT is a independently organized TED event on the IIT campus. So I am the founder and organizer, and I have produced altogether 7 of those shows. So now TEDx IIT has been the longest running independently organized TED event in Chicago. So that was
fantastic. Wow, that's exciting to be able to develop from TED Talks your own brand of it. So that's very exciting. I wanted to touch upon also, because of your work, the numerous honors and awards and recognitions that you have received from Crane's Chicago Business 40 Under 40. You've gotten grants from Chicago. I'm sorry?
That's 500 years ago.
40 Under 500. Okay. So, and grants from the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs. Just last year, I believe it was, you got 2 inaugural Advancing Consulting Awards from the Society of Advancement of Consulting. And you've been featured all over the media, NBC, BBC, NPR, Cranes. What has been is there a most prestigious award that you've been honored with, one that is dear to your heart?
Well, each one is unique, special, it's an honor. Can I say 2, or it has to be 1?
2. You got 2? Give me 2.
So I'm always about east and west, left and right. I can sign 2. Okay. So the first one that was really special was the Outstanding American Immigrants Award. And the other recipients have been the who's who, in the society, from Betty Lord to Placebo Domingo.
Mm.
I mean, that's really honor.
Wow.
That's really honor. The second award that was quite surprised, and it means a lot, was actually I'm still alive. I'm still alive, and there's an award named after my name.
Oh, wow.
An award that that IIT came up with for the TEDx IIT project. And each year they bestow this to the individual who had the leadership skill and involved with the community.
That is fantastic. Wow. So, Amy, what is next for you? What's next for Amy Segami? What are you working on?
Well, I just finished the TEDx Lakeshore Drive. Okay, so back up a little bit. With COVID, everything is on hold. The campus more or less shut down. So TEDx IIT was on hold. And last year, TED had a initiative about global warming, about climate change. Now that's the right word to say, is climate change.
Right.
And I just felt it's important, it's crucial, it's critical that I start a new project, TEDx Lakeshore Drive. So it's another TED, independently organized TED event, and using our local Lakeshore Drive. Most people been to Chicago know how beautiful that drive is and how significant it is telling us about the global, the climate change. So I just finished that. So my next project is to renew the license so that I have a continuation of TEDx Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, great, great. As far as in the studio, what's next for you?
Well, I already mentioned that I'm doing research for the virtual reality and augmented reality of painting in air. So I have created a body of work that now is slowly I release it digitally online, and working on having a digital exhibition because with the COVID, everything's shut down, Gary is shut down, and I think our conversation before the show is take on that the challenge, the obstacle as opportunity to come up with another option.
That's right.
So in a physical, meeting in place, we are meeting on Zoom, and why not having digital exhibition online?
That's right. In the last 6 months, I've been going to a lot of art shows online. Of course, I love art. And in Bronzeville, they have a weekly show that I've been able to take advantage of and experience all the different artists and art that's out there. Have you ever sold any of your art?
Yes.
Okay. And
Can I just worry about that?
No, go ahead, please.
So when I first started doing this, I did not know how that would develop. As I explained to you, the listener can imagine, it was black on white on a piece of rice paper, and rice paper is expensive. Or another way to say it's not inexpensive.
Okay.
And when I was first testing, you take baby steps, and I would take a sheet of rice paper and I would trim it into little tiny pieces. And the very first Christmas when I was doing this work, I said, I'm going to send this piece, almost like test piece, to my friends and colleagues. And a number of people came back and said, oh, okay, Amy, what are you doing? They don't get it. And slowly, I evolve and develop. And because in my mindset is I want to be able to do it as big as the spread of my arm. So that's about 3 feet by 4 feet. So imagine their surprise when they came to my exhibit. And the very first one was at the Botanic Garden up in North Shore. And I saw, I wish I have a camera, just the eyes pop out, the jaws kind of drop. It's like, really? You did this? And luck would have it, I got a lot of invitation to have the exhibit. But I would tell my friends, it's like, it's not the same showing. It's like, I want people to buy it as a demonstration that they actually, it's good enough that somebody want to have it. And thanks to my friends, colleagues, and they were very supportive. They would buy the art. And I thought, yeah, that's really nice. I appreciate it. But it doesn't really count unless I could sell it to a stranger.
Right. That's when you know the personal value of it. Friends will always help you out. Acquaintances will make you feel good. But when a stranger likes what you're doing, yes.
And I am pleased to report I have many, many strangers. And this art had taken me to different places as well as connecting with people that I could never imagine have been able to meet before.
That's great. And Amy, if anyone of my listeners want to reach out to you, can you give us the website or any links that they can reach you at?
Well, the easiest one would be paintingonwater.com. And that links to my artwork. Or if they Google my name, Amy Segami or Amy Lee Segami, they could find me at all different places of it.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm going to suggest that anybody that's listening to this podcast, as soon as it ends, go to the internet and look up paintingonwater.com. You're going to be amazed at the type of art that Amy has created. You're really going to enjoy it.
I have a gift for your listener.
You have a gift? Yes, what is it?
So if you're listening, I don't announce this, I don't make a big deal of it. But if people were to sign up on my mailing list, they would get a surprise of a digital download.
Okay.
It changes from time to time.
Okay, great. So all you listeners of Drama Talk Radio, go to paintingonwater.com, sign up, and you will receive a free digital download from Amy Lee Segami. And we all love free things. And when it's creative as well, I think it's worth doing it. So please check that out.
And they can use it as a screensaver too. Or put it on the home screen and show off to your friends.
Okay. Well, Amy, as soon as I finish talking with you, I'm going to go get mine and put it on my backdrop right away. In fact, I'm going to use it for a Zoom background. This way, more people, since I'm on Zoom almost every day now, more people will have an opportunity to see it. And they always ask, "What's that?" in back of you, and I can tell them about you.
Thank you for all you do, Calvin.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for being my guest today on Drama Talk Radio. I look forward to hearing good things from you. And whenever you have a project going on, please feel free to come back.
Thank you.
Well, that's about all, y'all, for this segment of Drama Talk Radio. My guest today has been Amy Lee Segami. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and it's always important that we take 2 steps to the rear and get on out of here. Until the next episode of Drama Talk Radio, exit stage left.